Good evening, and welcome to AJP Markets. After 4 days of violent swings, the region finally caught its breath today, with all three major markets closing little changed. But beneath the calm surface, the money kept moving, and in Korea it rushed into one corner of the market with extraordinary force. For a week, this region has been defined by huge moves: an 8% crash, an 8% rebound, and a geopolitical sell-off. Today was the opposite. The KOSPI rose less than 0.5%, the Nikkei was essentially flat, and the Shanghai Composite slipped a fraction. On the headline numbers, nothing happened. But the calm is misleading, because underneath it, the same battle is still being fought. Investors are sorting winners from losers inside the artificial intelligence and semiconductor trade, rather than buying or selling the whole market at once. In Korea, that showed up as a furious rally in chip equipment names, even as the index barely moved. In Japan, the split was just as clear, with chip tool makers rising while the broader market stalled. And China once again did almost nothing. The steady anchor it has been all week. After the chaos, this was a day of rotation, not direction. The KOSPI closed at around 7,764, up less than 0.5%, a fifth straight session of drama, but the first without a violent move in either direction. The KOSDAQ told a louder story, jumping nearly 5% as institutional buyers piled back into smaller technology and chip names. The single most striking move of the day came from Jusung Engineering, a semiconductor equipment maker which soared more than 23%. That is the clearest sign yet of where conviction is returning, not to the giant chip makers, but to the smaller companies that supply their production lines. Among the heavyweights, SK Hynix rose about 3% to around 2.1 million won, roughly $1,380, reclaiming the 2 million won level once again, while Samsung Electronics slipped about 1% to around 299,000 won, falling just below the 300,000 mark. The divergence between those two, Hynix up and Samsung down, captures the day. This was not a market moving as one block. It was investors making specific bets on specific names, with the chip equipment sector the clear winner. China was once again the quietest market in the region. The Shanghai Composite closed at around 3,987, down less than 0.2%, barely moving for a fifth straight session, while markets around it lurched. The mainland's insulation from global swings, built on domestic policy support and heavy state ownership, continues to make it the steadiest place in Northeast Asia. The mild selling that did occur landed on the technology names tied to the global chip trade. AI optics maker Jongji Innolight fell about 2%. AI chip designer Cambricon Technologies slipped about 1%. And even the metals giant Zijin Mining fell more than 1%, suggesting the safe haven demand that supported it earlier in the week is fading as Middle East fears cool. In a week that broke records for volatility elsewhere, China simply held its ground. The Nikkei 225 closed at around 64,217, virtually unchanged on the day, gaining just 38 points. But as in Korea, the flat headline hides a clear split underneath. Chip equipment maker Tokyo Electron rose about 3%, extending its remarkable run as the most resilient name in the entire regional sell-off, having climbed through almost every down day this week. In contrast, SoftBank Group, the market's main proxy for speculative AI investment, fell more than 1%, and chip tester Advantest dipped slightly. That pattern, the toolmaker rising while the AI investment vehicle falls, is the same story playing out in Korea. Investors are backing the companies that physically build the semiconductor supply chain, while staying cautious on the higher-flying AI plays. The Bank of Japan remains the second storyline, with a possible interest rate increase still expected later this month, keeping a lid on the broader market. After a week that delivered a crash, a record rebound, and a geopolitical shock, today's stillness is its own kind of signal. The panic selling has stopped, and money is flowing back in, but selectively into chip equipment and the suppliers, rather than the market as a whole. The Korean won held near 1,525 per dollar. Whether this is the start of genuine stability or just a pause between storms will depend on Wall Street tonight and on whether the Middle East stays quiet. We will be back tomorrow to see whether this calm holds into the end of the week. If you found this useful, please subscribe to AJP for daily coverage of the markets that move Asia. Thank you for watching AJP.